we are beginning with the idea of the visible invisible, and how we're kind of framing this is thinking about layers of knowledge that are contained within performance and within ritual.
As we think about the visible and invisible, many times when we see things like the costumes on the road as people are marching and people are parading in their costumes and things like that, there's oftentimes we don't know what is actually going into first of all, the making of the costumes. And then not only the making of the costumes, but the rituals that some of the performers actually participate in.
An evening with Nugent Smith and the Nenge Deuce Akpim in conversation on Masquerade, performance and spirituality in Carnival traditions in the African diaspora through the lens of the Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. They discuss how these traditions have informed Nugent's work and the works of other artists in the diaspora. The program began with a collaborative performance activation by Smith and Deuce Akpim of Rivers. Houston Con will cite specific lobby art installation honor that honors Langston Hughes and Arturo Schomburg with a cosmogram inspired by Hughes' poem, The Negro Speaks of Rivers.
Masquerade and carnivals coming out of Trinidad has a deep tradition. What can you tell us about the origin?
Well, my connection with it is looking at it especially through the lens of origins in Nigeria. I teach about ritual performance and specifically looking at Egungun, ancestral veneration, and those types of acts or actions which encapsulate and kind of hold an ashe or catalytic life force energy. And so the activation with ourselves through our bodies as vessels and with the audience is a way of bringing and linking, just like the tributaries in the cosmogram, these links that we are kind of bringing to the fore.
Are those African traditional worship traditions that you refer to?
There is a worship element. I think that we wouldn't say it's just a religious or just cultural. It's the breadth of being, cycles of life and death, and so we're moving in the same space as of these traditions that are really giving homage to what has gone before and linking that to so many locations on the planet, really, where these traditions are enacted and remixed, if you will.
These events have become major crowd attractions in communities that don't have an African root, but everybody finds them enjoyable. How can you explain this growth and fascination?
I think that's part to do with the different components of Carnival. Which is the music, which think about soca, calypso music, the steel pan, as well as the costumes. I think that people become really enamored with, they're really interested in the participatory part of Carnival celebration. And that has a long history as it relates to African traditions. And as we bring those things together, I think that people start to find some sort of element within Carnival that they identify with and want to participate in the celebration as well.
Did Carnival begin as we now know it in Trinidad?
I don't know where Carnival actually began. However, in each Caribbean island it's very different. So, for instance, Carnival in Trinidad lines up with the Lenten calendar, whereas Carnival in Barbados actually lines up with when the sugarcane crops, what they call it crop over. So that's when they actually harvested the sugarcane. So that's after the February Carnival that happens in Trinidad. So it's different for different Caribbean islands.
I would imagine that the display and the costuming has changed. Is there any connection between what we see today and what emerged, say, initially, I understand, in the 18th century?
Part of that tradition and part of that change actually happened with, so right now what people, I would say, locally consider there are different types of carnival. So we have what they call like the bling carnival, or the beads and feathers carnival, or the bikini carnival. And then they have the traditional carnival. So the traditional carnival, traditional mask, started out with like specific roles. So there was a certain type of costume that people wear. For instance, the Moko Jumbie, which we will speak about a little bit this evening. Lorraine, Jab Molassie, for example. And then you also have the other costumes that are really about aesthetics. So you have the feathers, you have less covering, less body covering, and I think a lot of people start to become very connected to or interested in that part of carnival as opposed to the traditional mask, which is rooted in so much more of the history.
Come chat with me.